So we haven't done an internet historian video in a little while. I thought we would do his newest one. It's called Fancy Oddities. And I'm really excited to see what has come up with this time.
NordVPN.
Let's see. It's already fancy.
Oh. It's you. You've completed the crash course on theatre and wine, have you? Feeling
Yes.
smug, are we? Deserving of love, perhaps? Worthy of eye contact? That's cute. But there's still a lot more work to be done. Look here. These shoes are made from real Italian leather. This bag is made from the leather of real Italians.
Oh,
Not
no.
impressed? How about this fur coat? It's made from the wolf of Wall Street. An Xbox with the original PT demo still installed. A signed first edition copy of Moby Dick with its little-known sequel, Moby Balls.
I
And
see where we're
last
going
but
here.
not least, the squid from Squid Game. Don't you get it?
Amazing.
Oddities. Weird stuff. I mean, the first section's on perfume. Listen, I'm going to level with you. I kind of got distracted and we went off topic. I don't even know what this is about anymore. Here's my Netflix stand-up special. It should explain everything.
Okay.
That's going to be a hard act to follow. That Kramer guy has some very good one-liners. But I've got some jokes lined up. Question. Why is perfume so expensive?
I don't know, and I've
'Cause
never
you have
known.
to pay perfume. Why do they call it cologne? Have you ever smelt one of those? It ain't great. Hello?
Wow.
Mic must not be working. Deodorant? In this market? I'd want a deodor buy. Is this thing on? Okay, let me tell you the story of perfume. See, to be fancy, people wanted to stink good, but people naturally stink bad. It's science. So in the beginning, people went to the garden to find the best-smelling things that they could. Here's a photo of the oldest perfume bottles ever found.
Whoa.
And what's inside? Just garden stuff that smells nice. But we did not just stop at that.
Kinda
because the story
makes sense.
of perfume is the story of progress. By the time Cleopatra came around, perfume science had really advanced. You see, Cleopatra loved perfume. In fact, it was said that she had a whole perfume factory. The olfactory, I believe they called
So it's
it.
rich people stuff.
But this factory wasn't just mashing flowers. They were using emulsifiers, adding resins, creating tinctures. Cleopatra's very own Chanel No. 1 contained cardamom, cinnamon, olive oil, and myrrh. So we've gone from garden to pantry. And she loved spritzing the stuff everywhere.
I mean, it's kind of the
Supposedly
same
even
thing.
spraying it all over the sails of her ship. That way, people could smell her from miles off as she sailed the Nile. By the early Middle Ages, we had figured out the formula for perfume. Effectively, there are three main components: water, alcohol, and the most important bit, the aromatic oils. And by the way, perfume and cologne are actually the same thing, but in different ratios of these ingredients. By the 1600s, they were trying all sorts of different things. Some things went well. Dude, pine. Pine. What about orange? I call it new car smell. But once global trade opened up, our tastes became more exotic. Out of the pantry and into the petting zoo. For you see, it turns out that animals have been hoarding all of the most bestest perfume smells. Yes. In the olden days, a bunch of manly men would brave very rough seas in order
Is this
to
that,
pull
like-
aboard sperm whales. Now, they would cut open the
What's it
digestive
called?
tract and pluck out a secretion of bile called
No.
ambergris.
Yeah.
Gray
I couldn't think of the name. I
Sometimes
remember.
they would harvest the rest of the whale, but eventually,
Ew.
ambergris became so valuable that it was simply
Just like that food video I just did, here we go again with people just reaching so far for what? A smell. Like,
More
and now of course it's
to
expensive.
dump the carcass back in the ocean and collect the next batch.
Oh, that's
Like when you kill a
horrible.
racehorse for its prize-winning jizz and then just leave it there on the tracks.
That's terrible.
All right, quick science lesson, eggheads. Ambergris comes from the gross part of the whale. And when the whale eats something quite sharp, let's say human bones, the ambergris forms around them and protects the lining of the gut.
Okay.
That's the ambergris' role. That way, as the sharp thing continues down the intestines, the whale doesn't get poked.
That's really,
If
really
ambergris
cool,
comes
actually.
from a whale's digestive tract, what does it smell like? Surely not good.
Ugh.
When it's dry, it smells kind of woody and earthy. But when it's wet, it smells like ass.
I'm
But it's
sure
not
it
actually the
does.
smell that's the useful function. Ambergris is a fixative. So what it does is heighten and bring out the scent of other things. These flowers, they smell all right, but add some ambergris and, that's the one. Now, once they've
Is there really no other way we could come up with doing that? Like, that
figured
seems
this
like a
out,
lot of trouble
they
for
realized,
this.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of things we can use a fixative for. And they got quite gross with it. They added it to food. In fact, it was said that King Charles's favorite dish was ambergris on eggs. But they didn't stop there. They added it to rum. They added it to coffee. They added it to cigarettes and smoked it. And they used it as an aphrodisiac.
Of course.
Now, some people will say that the whale is a mammal. But that's not strictly true. It is, in fact, a fish. Just look at the tail. And you may have also heard that there are a lot fewer of them these days, which, although a relief because their absence helps offset the sea level change, climate, whatever, we were worried that we might run out. So we said no more hunting whales for ambergris. But did that stop the perfumers? No. They immediately asked,
Most important thing
"Hey,
ever.
do you think there are any other animals that smell kind of weird?" Yes. Turns
Why
out
is it gotta be
the
animals?
musk deer has some potential. Now, we hunt the male musk deer specifically because it has a particular gland called a musk pod, which, when dried out, looks like this.
Fantastic.
And it uses it to mark its territory and attract mates. Now, don't worry. Unlike ambergris, this doesn't smell like ass. Instead, it smells like ammonia and piss.
Oh,
You just
great.
can't get a smell like that at home. So we started hunting them to the point where they were a protected species.
That
The
is so
authorities said, "You have to find a
stupid.
different animal." So from there, they moved on to hyrax feces. One of the most feared and dangerous animals in all of Africa. And it was the inspiration for the original Lynx Africa smell. Now, their feces, when dried, is called hyracium, or Africa stone. But it's not just these ones, they have other stones in Africa. Come on, guys. Now, the smell is fairly similar to deer musk, but
Who discovered
unlike
this?
The deer, the hyrax doesn't need to be killed or disturbed for their feces. They're
Okay.
just giving it away.
Right.
Hyrax even have a communal toilet, which is used for generations, which makes it very easy to collect up all the good stuff. But it's not just the hyrax, I've got other animals. Remember those civets from the virus videos? Wait, don't
Yes.
wash that thing's anus. Mom, get the bottle. Turns out it's the anal gland of the civet that's actually the important smelling bit. Who's figuring this out? Well, here's the good parts of
Exactly.
the animal. It's the bacon part of the beak, you know? Anyway, it's the ass that produces all the delicious musk.
It smells like shit.
Right, but it must be good for something because it goes for $4,000 a
Of course it does.
But we ain't done yet. You know when you've just killed a beaver and you cut open its right abdomen? Well, the reason it smells so good is because of a little gland called the castor sac, which makes a yellowy scum-like substance called castoreum. And it is used to waterproof the beaver's fur coat and also mark its territory. It is also
Can we just leave these animals alone?
And you know what that means. If it smells, it sells. And in this case, castoreum is more kind of leathery, with smoky hints of vanilla. But unfortunately today, you're not allowed to harm.
If it's leathery and like vanilla, why can't we just add a leather and vanilla smell? Wow, problem solved.
They're walking around very smugly, just like the other protected animals. But you know what? We don't need them, because we have a synthetic version of castoreum now, and it's just as good. And you know what? We've got a synthetic for the whale, the deer, and the civet now. And they're used in lots of mainstream perfume.
Exactly, thank you.
We've got a synthetic version of practically everything. And even better, the advancement of synthetics has opened up a huge range of smells that were never possible to distill or capture before. And the result is some very silly perfumes. You know that bacon bit of the pig? We got that now. Windex smelling, pretty much anything you can think of, really. Someone has created a fragrance of it.
Oh my God.
In some instances, we're even beating nature herself. For example, you know those roses that you get at the florist? And then people go, these smell beautiful. But actually, those roses are not bred to smell good. They're so specialized for good looks, longevity, and disease resistance that they've practically altogether lost their smell. So often what the florist will do is add an additional scent to the flower post-picking. And typically a synthetic rose perfume is used because it lasts longer and doesn't dry out the flower. Yep, we're just that good.
Hilarious.
And what's the future for perfumes? Well, I don't know. But what I do know is it's going to involve some comedy gold. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah.
Comedy
My wife
gold?
asked me for Chanel No. 5, and I was like, not right now. I'm watching the football. You know, on the television. You know what? I am going to say it. If it's good enough for Kramer, it's good enough for me. Ad time. This Christmas, she works in the big city.
Busy professional. My career, this and that.
But she's going home for Christmas.
Small towns are the worst. I'm a big city career gal.
Typical. This is the Lifetime movie.
Oh my God, are you okay?
I am now. And she's about to learn the meaning of Nordmas. The most VPNist time of year with a 30-day money-back guarantee if you go to nordvpn.com/internethistorian. Ha 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 ha. Soon I will have installed public Wi-Fi in all of Nordville, and once they use it, their private data will be exposed. Governor Craven's got this town by the baubles, and I can't believe that big city company you work for works with him.
Come on, we have to put up the Nordmas lights for the big Nordmas festival.
What? Let's go ice skating. What?
He's so cute, but I'm a city girl.
Girl, you sound like you're in love.
I thought I knew what Nordmas meant, but it means nothing without you.
It's like the end of March.
It's always Nordmas time of year with Nord's huge discount on a 2-year plan. Use the URL.
The sad thing is this is so accurate for the movie.
Guarantee it's the best VPN in town.
Now I love small town, and I'm in love with Nordman, but I can't leave behind big city Korea.
True love and a really good VPN don't come around too much. You gotta take a chance.
Boss, I don't care about making partner at the firm anymore. I've found my new home.
Big public Wi-Fi is spreading across the city. Nordmas will be ruined. Ho, ho, ho. Need a hand?
How are we gonna stop him, Nordman?
With this Nord-themed brick.
I love you, Nordman.
And I love you, big city woman. Let's go home and watch the international Netflix catalog. It's a Nordmas miracle. Go to nordvpn.com/internethistorian to get a huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4
So
bonus
good.
Nordmas months. Ad's over. You know, that ad makes me think about the time I nearly had a wife. Feels like a lifetime ago now. I was in Japan, living the digital nomad lifestyle. I had a startup selling seashells down by the seashore. But I broke the one rule of being a digital nomad. I got mad. Digitally. And that's when I saw her. It was love at first sight. I remember her laugh. Her touch. Every morning, breakfast in bed. But the truth was, I had no money. We couldn't live on love alone. So I left. I sought out touch. Every morning,
I think this got cut out.
In bed. But the truth
the sound,
was,
maybe.
I had no money. We couldn't live on love alone. So I left. I sought out. And I bet you're wondering how I finally struck it rich. Well, truth is, I'm the guy who invented the Joe Rogan podcast. Once I became a gajillionaire, I went back to that beach to try find her. But instead, I hit her with my boat.
No.
We never found her body.
It's like the commercial.
She had a secret. One she took to her grave.
Oh,
that I was
she
sworn
died.
not to tell. She's not around, so... Dude, she was a mermaid! Come on, champ, we're going to Japan. And here's where it all begins. In the year 2022. It's a Tuesday, probably. And local folklore researcher Hiroshi Kinoshita is looking up some fantastical animals in the National Yokai Dictionary. It's like the bestiary from Witcher, right? And he comes across a photo negative of a mermaid mummy. Oh my God, he says in Japanese. Upon seeing the mermaid, he knows that he must track it down. He must form a team. Researchers, assemble. So he gets together the best damn crew that he can from the University of Science and Arts at the Okayama Prefecture. And he plans to track down...
What is happening? I feel like...
wherever it has escaped to. Now, it doesn't take him long to figure out that it's being held at the Inuin Temple in Asakuchi. You know the one. So he struts up to the secret building.
You definitely don't.
At the back of the temple is a fireproof safe. And inside of that is an old wooden box. And inside the old wooden box was the mermaid. We found it. We found a real one. But where did it come from? Well, alongside the mermaid was a note that dated back from 1903. And it said, a dried human fish, aka Ningyo, was caught almost 300 years ago over in the seas of Tosa. It was then dried out and taken to Osaka. And from there, it was passed around to many different people until it arrived at the temple. Now, the Ningyo have an important history in Japan, and sightings of these half-fish, half-human creatures have cropped up all across the country. Kinoshita himself had personally tracked down 13 of them all across Japan, usually kept in museums.
Oh my God.
However, what you might not know is that traditionally they have been associated with bad omens.
Oh, I see.
And everyone knows the infamous tale of Yao Bikuni. But I'll recite it to you just in case. So the story is that one day, a poor fisherman catches the biggest fish of his life. It was a strange-looking fish, and its head was almost human-like. But he brought the fish home and invited all of his friends and family to come over for a feast to celebrate his largest catch. You know, he's got his arms stretched out like this. He's like, it was this big. No, it was this big. I swear, it was this big. During dinner, one of the guests sneaks into the kitchen to see just how big it was. This big? I can't believe it. And he discovers that it is actually a Ningyo. Oh no, he says in perfect Japanese. Now he quickly warns the other guests, don't eat it. And he warns them just in time. Teishi! They've got their fork like right up to their mouth. Teishi eating that. Teishi, don't do it. They throw all their food away. Let's just have some rice and drink the night away. Okay, so they do. And they have a lovely evening. However, one very dishonorable guest decided to sneak a bit of the meat out of the trash and put it in his pocket. He then goes home drunk and falls asleep. He didn't eat it. But when he woke up the next morning, he checks his pockets and... no! The delicious fish piece is gone. Turns out, in the night, his daughter had been rummaging around in his pockets looking for treasure, and she found the meat from his pocket. And she was such a greedy guts that she decided to eat it then and there. The father was terrified for his daughter. But she didn't seem to be sick. Do you feel weird at all? And shaking her. He decided not to tell her anything. Maybe it'll all be okay.
Nothing you could do now.
Okay. From that day forward, the daughter never aged. That's right. She remained a young adult forever.
Wow.
She eventually went on to marry. But as her husband got older, she stayed the same age. Eventually her father got old and died. And soon enough did her husband too. Everyone she ever knew was getting older and dying, but she remained the same age. She was immortal. Eventually, at age 120, she decided to shave her head and become a Japanese nun. She traveled the country, planting trees as she went. And she did this for 800 years. But eventually, she grew tired. You know what? I'm tired of living. She entered a cave in her hometown of Obama.
No.
And she was determined to never come out again. She begged and prayed for the curse to end, but it never did.
I never know if this is real or not, if it's a real story or not. I mean, I think it must be a real story, but because sometimes he's so silly. I'm sure it's a real story. It's just, okay. 800-year-old nun. 800 is used as a number that figuratively means ad infinitum, or an uncountably large number. Oh. Okay, so not exactly 100, but I mean 800, but like very, very, very old. Okay.
She sat in that cave for so long that she turned to stone.
Oh my God.
And today, at
It's a
the
fun story, though.
Kuji Temple in Obama, remains the cave that Yao Bakuni entered.
Wow.
People have been into that cave to check whether she's still in there, but nothing was found. However, a stone statue of her resides at the entrance. And colloquially, it is called the Barack Obama. So we're back with Hiroshi. He asked the temple if he could borrow the Nino. Look, let me do a little CT scan on it, right? And they agreed. Hiroshi hands the Nino to a team of scientists, and they get to work. They do their tests. Beep, beep, boop.
Is it fake?
Control plus scan on the keyboard, and here are the results.
It's stage 4 cancer. I'm so sorry.
No, but really, turns out the Nino dates back to the 1800s. The note that said it was from the 1700s was wrong.
Okay, well.
Its body is made from cloth and cotton, wrapped in pufferfish skin. The tail was made from a croaker. I don't know what that is. Can we show that on the screen? With the mouth of a different fish and the hair of a mammal. And they can see that there's a metal nail in its back. Oh my God, it's invented tools.
Fake.
The forensic analysis and the construction materials in its back did cast some doubt over its authenticity.
Wow,
But
shocking.
you gotta believe in something, damn it. Aye. As promised, the Nino was returned to the F3ncy temple, where it still lives today. But where, oh where, did my mermaid go?
He is brushing by the fact that this thing is completely fake.
You know what, I kind of missed you. And what the hell is that?
Daddy.
You know what, I never did find her again. I think these things are a big myth. We're here on the ancient streets of Cairo, and there is our destination. In these
Ooh,
triangles,
I would love
the
to see
greatest luxury
pyramids.
that all the elites crave. Oh God, no, not that. The second most thing that mummies. You can find them in these tombs, and there's only ever like one dude guarding them. But before we must understand. Mummification started over 5,000 years ago, and they were first discovered by the Europeans in the 15th century. But the legend
So
goes,
cool.
the locals knew about them even earlier than that. It's an elaborate process.
Probably.
Essentially, you're drying the person out, turning them into a human salami. All right, so when the Europeans found all these mummies, what do you think they did?
They poked
put it
around in
a
them.
museum, right? Wrong. They used these mothers for everything, and everybody wanted them. What do you mean they used them for everything? Well, fancy people would take whole mummies and show them off to their friends at fancy dinners. To really show off the owner's wealth, they would sometimes unwrap
Oh
them
my
too.
God.
They were used as paint. They call this mummy brown, by the way. They were
Oh,
used
that's
as
so sad.
fertilizer.
Oh man, talk
Oh,
about
no.
supercharging your soil.
They were even consumed.
Don't mind if I do.
No, not like this. By grinding them up into powder and taking them like a herbal supplement.
Penguins
which they
are
called
so
mumia. But with such high demand for your mum,
crappy.
after a while, they began
Wow.
to run out of stock.
Oh, what a shock.
Uh-oh. They were becoming rarer and rarer to find.
That's
They were being
terrible.
gobbled off the face of the earth. So the authorities passed a bunch of laws to protect mummies from becoming altogether extinct. These are the last two of their species, and they're both male, but they
Imagine how much history these people just ground up into dust. Freaking idiots.
won't mate. No. But the mummy is much like the Tasmanian tiger. Every once in a while, one will just kind of show up.
I
and
literally
prove
thought that was my
they're not
phone.
altogether extinct.
Omen in your.
The year 2013. The location, Deifuls in northwest Germany. We are at the Kettler household, owned by grandfather Kettler, who is now dead. But he had a son, Lutz Kettler, and Lutz Kettler also had a son, Alexander Kettler, and they are both
Okay.
here at the house. After a rainy day, there was a leak in the roof. So 10-year-old Kettler gets up into the attic to explore. You know, have a bit of a look around. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. Old antiques, photographs, and, some old roof tiles. Those will be useful. So he goes onto the roof tiles and, behind them is something strange. A box. A mystery box. Now, the kid is smart and he's seen Jumanji, so he knows not to touch the box and instead go tell his dad. Now, the dad drags the box into the center of the room. And he opens it. And inside,
No, not a mummy.
a smaller box. But it's very curious because it is covered in hieroglyphs. So, Lutz crosses his fingers, hoping nothing supernatural will happen. And he opens the inner box. Inside is a mummy. Oh my God. But there's more. There's also two smaller boxes. One contained a death mask, and the other a canopic jar.
Did he
All right,
steal
so he
this
might have
stuff?
a dead body in the house now. So naturally, he calls the authorities. The police show up and ask some questions. Lutz then explains a little bit of.
Well, I guess you would kind of have to
He
because it is a
remembers that
body.
In the 1950s, his father went to Derna in Libya. There, he acquired a chest and had it shipped back home. He remembers a conversation about it, but grandfather Kettler insisted that it was a replica. Das ist ein Replika, son. Not a real mummified person. Now, at this point, the police did not think it was a real body, but it was worth
What would
getting
they
it
know?
scanned just in case. So he loaded it up in his
Yeah, go
station
get it
wagon,
tested.
and off he went to the Berlin Archaeological Institute. Now, they agreed to do a scan, and so they're fiddling with buttons and dials and stuff, and it's fake, right? It's fake? Well, here's where things get a little more dramatic. Results inconclusive. There is
Ooh.
a fully formed skeleton here. Now, that is unusual for a fake. Often a fake will just be shaped like a person, then filled with sticks and cloth and rubbish. However, it got even stranger. They found that all of the bones were wrapped in some sort of metal plating or foil. Next, they looked at the skull, and that's where things were the most odd. It was very realistic. Its teeth had roots. Its form was more intricate than the typical fake. It also had a laurel, but even more notably,
what is that?
there was an arrowhead lodged in the eye socket. Now that is very unusual for a fake. Hold on, I got more evidence to do. So they're doing more tests and stuff. All right, we've carbon tested the linen wraps. What's the verdict? Well, those are from the 1900s. Now the plot is thickening. We have a supposed fake mummy, but with a very realistic skull, perhaps murdered by an arrow to the head and bandages that date to the modern day. That presents a new problem because it's not unheard of for people to do a murder in the modern day and then cover things up
like it's
by
fake.
disguising the body as an ancient artifact. For example,
are you serious?
In the year 2000, there was a man who claimed he found the mummy of an ancient Persian princess, the daughter of Xerxes. However, when they examined the body, they found it was, in fact, a potential murder victim from 1996 who died from bludgeoning. All right, so the police now actually have to get involved, and it's about to get even more complicated. So they confiscate the body, and they do their own tests, and the results this time say, nope, this thing is 2,000 years old. It's not fake at all. It's ancient. What?
But
so
rewrapped?
The experts will get together and go, okay, this is dumb. Let's take it to Eppendorf University and have it properly tested, and not just tested, crack the thing open like a delicious Kinder Surprise. So this new set of experts gets to work, and when they open up the mummy... All right, remember how we said that the bones were covered in a special type of foil or metal plating? Well, it turns out the scientists didn't quite get that right. Instead, the bones were sprayed with a metallic chemical that prevented X-rays from going through. The bones were made from plastic.
I was about to say, meaning they knew about X-rays.
The body was. Turns out the skull is real. Yes, a real skull, and not from an ancient mummy, but from a 20th century man. However, it was not a murder. This skull is from a cadaver, and it was medically prepared for educational purposes. And what about that arrowhead? Well, it turns out that that's from a children's toy. Someone just popped that in the eye socket as a joke. So finally, the mystery was solved. It's just a plastic skeleton with a real dead guy's head put on it.
I see.
Wait, how does
sold
that
for a bunch of money or something?
Anyway, so Lutz was satisfied that the whole thing was fake and not a murder victim. Oh, let's put that back in the attic.
It's still really cool.
Very Germanly. But then, eine Bitte? Was ist das? He says. Another box? The Book of the Dead? Well, that sounds like a fun...
Wait, yeah, like what were the other things? There were other boxes with
so Lutz
like
starts reading the
they're probably fake
Egyptian out loud. Anaxunamun, Imhotep, Brendan Fraser, and what happens next will shock you and make for a very good thumbnail. Hey there, champ. You're probably wondering why I'm out here on this park bench. Sometimes I just come to see the autumn leaves. Winter will be here soon. Dust in the wind. Truth is, sport, I have a highly contagious respiratory disease. I won't be around much longer. Dust in the wind.
And you're blowing it in my face.
I'm like Willy Wonka from that movie. And you're like that ugly kid from the Willy Wonka movie who gets all his stuff. Or the Oompa Loompa. I don't know. I haven't seen it. The point is you're so close to being fancy. I can feel it. There's just one lesson left to learn.
Really?
Anyway, speaking of ancient Egypt, here's this ancient Egyptian gun. Franz Ferdinand, what are you doing here? Of course, he's not the real Franz Ferdinand. He's a mummy. Now, the thing about the ancient Egyptian gun is that it's very sensitive. Uh-oh.
God.
I hit your congratulations for being somewhat fancy cake.
Hmm.
Come on, Mr. Ferdinand. We've got to clean this up before the Park Services Commission hears about this, and they make another complaint. Right, we're almost done with the series, and then it's back to the usual content. So in case you missed it, there's also
I wonder what's
Drinking
next.
on Incognito, a new story mode out next week. And if you like fancy, that's great. But if you don't like fancy, don't worry, it's not forever. Ooh, goodbye. Ooh. Don't forget,
He's always
NordVPN,
cleaning up some crime scene.
NordVPN.com/InternetHistory. Huge deal on a 2-year plan. You'll love it.
Wow, I love going down these rabbit holes. That's so fun. I really like that mummy story. It would be cool to find it. At least it wasn't real. It's kind of better that it's not real, you know, because I just don't know how it would be legal or allowed to get that thing back to your house, you know. I wonder what those other relics were, though, those other boxes of stuff. But yeah, that was really good. I'll leave it in the description if you want to watch it. Leave a comment on what you'd like for me to watch next. I think there's one more fancy video we haven't seen yet. I'll check that out next probably. But yeah, make sure to leave a like and I'll see you in the next one.